Alright, see that them got again now. We are about to work on a power acoustic. A long time I don't do one of them, I'm saying, or this brand in particularly. Alright, this is a Vertigo series. You can see it, Vertigo. Yeah. Alright, so this is classified as a 8,000 watt class D. 8,000 watt them say, you know. Alright, we don't know what 8,000 gone to, but them say 8,000 watt. So I could just jump on the inside and see what can be done, you know. Alright, and cover out the people in detail. Alright, so customer bring this to me because of non-power. So right away we see that it burnt. Power supply burnt on both sides. And first of all, we are gonna check the output to see if there's any shorted output, because in most cases when you have a burnt power supply, sometimes you have shorted output and it increase the ampere inside the power supply like feedback, and then now you have one and few parts just give out. Sometimes you would have power supply issue pertaining to like low voltage, not necessarily over voltage or high voltage, because you know that sometimes if you are not really dealing with like a 24 volt vehicle, a car won't charge past probably about say 16 volt or so forth, you know, and most of the vehicles them nowadays are kind of modern, so you have less of these overcharging fault. So worst case scenario again, you can have someone cross the wires, that is put the plus to the minus and the minus to the plus, but sometimes as that is another, not a rare occurrence, but just a misfortune sometimes, but you know, things can happen. So what we are gonna do now is take out the motherboard from out this chassis and then start to make a few checks and let you guys know what is going on. Alright? Yeah. There we got. Alright, so we have pulled out the board from out the chassis, and geez, I could swear that the person who bring them to me told me that one MOSFET was shorted and they take it out. I'm not so sure, but I've seen it broken, but I don't want to say this is the cause of the power supply failure, because I'm not so sure. But all the output is good otherwise from that one which is broken. But as I said, I think the persons have somewhat knowledge of amplifiers, so I think he told me that he took out a bad output MOSFET. So I don't want to confuse the situation, but in this sense now, I don't sure if I have an amplifier like this so that I could find one which is genuine and original to match these. But worst case scenario, I would have to just change these four. The power supply now, I'm gonna have to remove all the bad parts, and these technically would have to do a full rebuild. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let me just sort out this thing, clean up the board, and get back to you guys. Alright, this amplifier is known as an half bridge. So within this design now, you would have one of the speaker terminal, which is ground, would be tied to the main neutral and also tied back to the ground of the B minus, like the negative of the amplifier in. So all the output now would be leading towards this inductor for giving you a single output to the speaker positive. That is a half bridge design. So all the parts that you are looking at right here, the real voltage will be connected to the drain and the source of all these output right there. Let's just remove the parts and clean out the board as I mentioned earlier. Alright, we are coming back to almost the same problem again. Remember in a previous video where I told you that you have to cut out the bad part? Alright, so this is one of them. You have to just remove that area. If you don't do that, your amps probably will fail again. So you have to get rid of that part. I extensively did a video a short while ago where I was removing the burnt area. So this is such one of them also. So let me just do that and you will see the final result. But remember, if you are not cleaning away the burnt area, your amp will more than likely fail again, because that area is conductive, and As you know, anything can happen. Alright? Alright, so we managed to get this amp just temporarily on for a short time. And when I say on, it's about like less than 5 seconds, because what we notice is that we're having some heat developing on these power supply MOSFET, and it was getting critical, so I had to disconnect the voltage immediately because it was overheating. So the problem for that is that we're having problems with the drive card. I soon show you the problem with the drive card. Anyway, these 4 parts, these salvage parts that I use from what wasn't damaged, actually 6 of them is good, but I just put 4 in the circuit to see if I can start up the power supply to check everything over here. But I've got the light to come on within that short time. That would be the power light, so that means everything else is okay. So all I need to do is just change this bank of output MOSFETs, because one is damaged and I don't have a amp like this to get a genuine one from it. So I'm just gonna change these 4 and all from one batch, and then now I'm gonna rebuild the power supply. So the problem I'm having now with this power supply, apart from that area, I'm gonna have to rectify that area. I'm gonna have to use a piece of wire to join that area, and I'm gonna see if I can fill the space that is created right there, so I can lay a piece of small wire on top and loop it around the component foot. That would be the power supply MOSFET drain leg. Alright, the problem I'm having with this drive card now is that some of these drivers, as you can see, they have to look good, but I know something is wrong right there. Let me see if I can show you guys. Alright, look at that right there. As you can see, that this transistor right here is damaged. You can see it look burnt or brown. Don't know if you can pick up that, but you can see this one is discolored. So right away I know that this is bad. And if you check this gate drive, it goes right down to where I'm having the heat. So that means this card is not being driving the power MOSFET properly on that side. So I'm gonna have to just change about 4, or I can take them all off. This side is okay, so I don't have to go around that 4. These 4 right here I will just change. They are cheap transistors. I have a lot of these stuff, so I can just change them all. But as I said, then we gotta know when to change and what to change and how to change and if it to change. So if me say to change only 1 or 2, we don't need to change all 4. But for a good measure, I'm gonna just check this card and rebuild that card. Alright, so I'll do that, get back to you guys, and you'll know what is happening with the amplifier. Alright, as you can see, we currently change that small parts that we said we were gonna change. 4 drivers, there are the old ones right there. So I think 3 of them is still good, you know. Just one is the problem, but my type of style when I working on driver board, I don't like to remove and reseat back a driver board and pull it out again. So what I tend to do, even though I didn't have to take out this one because I have full access to it, so I just change all 4 of them just to make sure I don't go back on that card. Alright, so I'm just gonna turn it on right now. As you can see, famous tweezer short in the B plus to the remote. So it's on now. As you can see, it coming to life, doing a self-check. Alright, so it passed the self-check. So it's on fully right now. So let me just check a few. Let me start with the gates. As I said before, I'm just using 4 parts just to drive the transformers. So I haven't loaded all the parts that I'm gonna put inside the circuit as yet. And here, as you can see, I kind of rebuild this area. This was the burnt out area, so I use the common or the typical crazy glue with baking soda just to full back that area, and I rebore the holes So at this part now, I'm just gonna make a piece of loop. You know my loops around here so that the middle pin can be soldered to it. It's not necessary to be soldered under the bottom of the board because there is nothing under that side. So that's not a problem under there. Alright, so let me just check my gates right now for you guys. Alright, so that's right there. As you can see, let me get the measurement up. Lovely. Alright, that's a good switching right there for my gates. So let me check the other side also. As you can see, proper gates. So I'm not having an issue now with the gates. It's all switching. 27.47 kilohertz. So that's reasonable amount of switching right there. So no parts now is getting hot. Everything is cool. So there's nothing overheating. So the power supply is fine. Alright, over on my output side now, as you can see. Let's see. Alright, this is my low side gate. As you can see that measurement right there. So everything is up and up. And that is my high side drain. Alright. As you can see it right there. My frequency, switching frequency is 138.9 kilohertz. But not gonna confuse you with the numbers. Let's just stick to what we are looking at. Alright. So my gate. This is my high side gate over here. And it's okay too. So as I always say, as Demigod always say, alright, when you have wave like those, that means there's no further check necessary. That amp is actually playing right now. Alright? I'm just gonna play it with these bad parts before I take them out, because remember, as I said, I'm gonna change this new. Gotta put a full set of power supply MOSFET in, and I'm gonna change this bank over here to 4 complete set right there. So let me just even play what is there right now to show you that it's alive and well, and then when I do the changes, I'm gonna still play it for you guys. Alright, so I have audio going inside right now. It's already on, fully on, and you know, let me just attach my speaker wire now so you can hear the bass. Yeah, that's what we are talking about. So I have the bad parts to remove, and then you can hear the bass basically. Alright, so it's playing. So I'm gonna just remove the parts. As I said, they are not typically they are not bad, but in this line of work, when you remove these parts, you are just trying to make sure that the amp is efficient and the amp can serve a long time. Because sometimes you have MOSFETs, you know, that could be leaking at a higher voltage or continuous use, or when it's getting heated, then parameters may change. So it's not a problem to put in new set. As I said, these are good, but I cannot put a new aftermarket with these. So what I'm gonna do is just replace them. Alright, so stay tuned. I'll be back shortly. Alright, so this is our final test now. We already put up everything together right now. You don't know Demigod style. So we have a music signal going in, and famous tweezer. You don't know right there, so go there now. B+ shot into the remote. And as we say, everything intact, everything fine. Screw down everything. Right here, we did have a burnout. Bronze wire. So you know we change it. We don't find on black what we use a purple CMA star. Alright, so we're going to just put power to it now and just hear him punch little, and then now we just wrap up that and done now. And power up. Self check. Yeah. So you can hear it in the background, they go and play the now CMA star. So don't know, it's another happy repair, so we're going to notify the customer, they know. Come for him amplifier. Alright.